Hello, it's Having Things Lightly again, back after being on the road. Guys, a few announcements before we play Greg Gilbertson in. Guys, guess what? It's happening. Art of Tamada in Florida. It's happening November 7th through 10th. We're going to go down and experience the election together. It's going to be great. Jordan Hall, Jonathan Pajot, 25 of us around a table learning the art of the Georgian table, which is really just the art of hospitality, which is really just how to be exceptionally gracious. The Georgians have offered this to us, and we offer it to you as a fundraiser. I have about 8 seats left. You guys should come. It just came out, and they're going to go fast because Jonathan's coming and Jordan Hall's coming to give great talks and sharing wine, food, and the beach. Also, First Things would like to invite you to come work for us for 2 years. This is First Things Foundation. Think of it as Peace Corps, but way better. Spiritually emboldened Peace Corps, 2 years overseas. We're looking particularly for folks who want to go to Africa, East and West. Come aboard, call us, write us at First Things. www.first-things.org. Greg Gilbertson, and then the road to hell on Heavy Things Lightly. Guys, we've been doing this road to hell is paved with good intentions. Just to remind you, after a long, I went around the world, but I didn't do it on purpose. I did it because we're training a new guy to do new wonderful things and to work with our projects around the world, things that you support. And so Adrian and I saw our site in Mozambique, our new site in South Africa, a site in Georgia, and it was hard and good and wonderful, and now we're back. So thank you to all of you who help support us. The road to hell, guys. This phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, it never sat well. And so I decided, not way before the podcast, to find out what that means, where did it come from. And then I decided during the podcast era, that should be a podcast. And now it is. This is the third part. There's one more to go after today. Today's a quick hitter. Another episode. So if you go back and look at 1 and 2 for a second, you'll see that essentially we've gone on this roundabout historical look at the origins of the phrase. Spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen the first one yet, it's not in the Bible. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Not biblical at all. Okay? And then we took a contemporary look at Physics Girl, who also is on a pilgrimage. We're on a pilgrimage to find out about this phrase. It doesn't sit right with me. And then Physics Girl is on a pilgrimage in the videos that we saw to go and visit this place called CERN, which is the Center for European Nuclear Research. It's a facility that basically, if you want to know, it runs the world. You could just put it like that. Today, we look at how Physics Girl's pilgrimage to this holy site of modernity, how it helps us to understand that I don't think actually the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It helps us understand this paradigm and how her visit is actually an answer to the question of what really actually paves the road to hell. And it ain't good intentions. In the previous episode, I said we'd look at the biggest, heaviest, scariest New World building projects. The reason for that is building projects tend to be road pavers. Like people that do massive projects tend to be those who are paving the road for the future. And so Physics Girl kept leading us down this road toward this massive building project called CERN. And I realized this is a good way to look at this question because there is an answer that I want to reveal to you about what actually paves the road to hell, at least from an old world and an old world Christian perspective. I think, just being a guy. But first, here's the biggest pre-Enlightenment, sort of classical old world building projects, as brought to you by Popular Mechanics, the magazine. The same magazine that said Building 7 just sort of tumbled down. I don't want to get into it, Building 7. Popular mechanics is science. It's light people. And the light people made a list of the greatest building achievements of the ancient world, the old world. Building 7 was not on the list, but here's one that was. You ready? Guess. Probably the biggest Great Wall of China, 210 BC. Here's another one. The Parthenon in Athens. A worship site. 410 BC. The Temple of Hara, a worship site for paganes, for pagans, 550 BC. Tobleki Temple, this is in Turkey, 9,000 BC. 20 massive stone pillars, worship site. Tumulus of Bougon in France. Oh, a temple labyrinth. What? A temple labyrinth? A pagan temple labyrinth? Who would want to go down there with me? Let's do it. Let's go into a pagan labyrinth. I think it could be stupefyingly fun, and also I'm kind of scared. 4000 BC for the Tumulus of Bougon. Stonehenge, 3000 BC. Oh, for worship. It's a 30-ton stones just stacked up. I don't know where they came from. Karnak stones in France. There's 3,000 of them that are apparently for star worship, stargazing and worship. This is amazing. The Roman Colosseum. They did games in there. That's one of the all-time great building events in pre-Enlightenment, apparently, according to popular mechanics. Games, sex stuff, worship, murder. A lot of Roman Colosseum was fun. And so, I don't know, there's stupas in India, make the list, worship. More temples from ancient Greece. And then you throw in an aqueduct or two. Bridges. But out of the 20 greatest building projects of all of human history before the Enlightenment, first of all, they don't have the Hagia Sophia on here, so I don't even know what's happening. Popular Mechanics, a popular magazine in modernity, says out of 20 greatest old world building projects, they say 13 were straight up worship projects. But if you really count them, it's about 17. Where something like a chicken was being bled to death, or maybe a baby was being sacrificed. There's some sort of sacrifice going on. There's something like a transcendence trying to happen. So, like if we can just get to God, and then like hours, the pyramids are on the list. There's millions of hours of man work so that you can bury a dead guy. Old world cats had a lot of massive projects, just like New World cats. But all of them did the same thing, which is not what any of these projects I'm about to share with you do. And that is they try to link up down here with up there. They try to link up body with mind, or earth with heaven. They try to do like, it reminds me of like an Earth, Wind, and Fire album cover. They're like, for you kids out there, Earth, Wind, and Fire is the greatest band that ever lived. And you should go and watch their album covers, because it's like, this is Shazam, like to the cosmos. They're always trying to reach up. Well, that's what the old world building projects look like. I told you, if you were listening all those weeks ago, that I would share a cornucopia of spreadsheetable light people building projects to help us understand how this road to hell is not paved with good intentions. And guess what? Here we go. To show the juxtaposition, I've delved into an article from Stacker. And Stacker is going to tell us about the most expensive projects in the history of mankind ever. And if you'll notice, they're all scientific and they're all from modernity. And the reason we're looking at this is I want to remind you that there's something about the road to hell is paved with good intentions, which implies if you just think a little harder, you won't screw up the world. Be careful. You might feel kind of warm and fuzzy. I know you want to help those orphans, buddy. But you really should rethink it. because it could lead you right into hell. And what I'm saying is something's wrong with that. And now I want to share with you some of the biggest projects, not sharing a little dollar bill with an orphan, but some of the biggest projects ever taken by light people in order to, I don't know, make the world a better place. Here's one. Or is that true? We'll find out. The most expensive science project of all times, according to Stacker. Don't hold me responsible. We'll put it in the link, Andrew. The International Space Station at $150 billion. Now, that's not the actual most expensive project ever, but NASA is. NASA only costs you guys out there $110 million a day. What? You're like, nah. Oh, that's just the tip of that. That's just what it keep it running. $110 million a day to keep it just going. But NASA as a whole and their project, billions and billions and billions, just like more dollars than there are stars. Okay. So many dollars has NASA spent. Okay. That's just on their one biggest project was $150 billion, the International Space Station. So many dollars have they spent. They're trying to recoup some money by renting you a place in the International Space Station for $35,000 a night. I just can't even believe I said that. It's so fucking stupid. NASA, International Space Station, space in general. It's actually just too many dollars to count. The second most expensive project of all time is the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. ITER. If you know what ITER is, you're probably already crazy. It probably made you crazy. Okay. So the thermonuclear experimental reactor is $14 billion, probably going to run up to $17 billion because guess what? It's not finished yet because 35 nations are collaborating to spend $17 billion to fuse stuff. Yeah. Here we go. Here, guess what's next on the list? Physics Girl. I'm going to show you Physics Girl in a minute. Physics Girl, where she went to visit CERN, they're next on the list. They really are right there with NASA because they have a whole ton load of projects too. Their most expensive project was the one that allowed us to know God because it allowed us to know there was a God particle. That's right, Higgs boson. Yeah. I bet you're thinking like, I remember the day that they discovered the God particle and it changed my life. And I sleep at night knowing that the God particle is just so close and trapped in steel somewhere in Switzerland. And I feel so good about that. God is with us, but in a steel cavern somewhere. I love that God. The God particle. That was $5 billion for that project. Then they got a $17 billion project called the Atlas Detector, which apparently detects molecules. Apparently all the molecules. I know you're like, he doesn't mean all. I think I mean actually it detects all the molecules. Then there's the Dark Matter project, the one that we're investigating with Physics Girl here in a minute, the one she went to go find out what antimatter is. That one's cool. It's only $25 billion a gram as they try to produce antimatter. So it costs them $25 billion to produce 1 gram of antimatter, which is cool, but they haven't quite got there yet. So they've only spent $25 billion to almost produce 1 gram. I don't really want to get into it. It's sad. It makes me sad. But they're doing that at CERN because they want to find out stuff. We'll get to that. There's a reason for this. If you stick with me, we're all going to get there together. Here's another one, and I just think these are so good to know. I'm willing to waste my time to do this research so that it can be with you guys. It's a gift. It's free. You're like, no, it's not, because I had to listen to you. I know. I don't know what that costs to you, but I'm thankful. Here's what it is. The U.S. Air Force is the one that did the GPS. So you did the GPS, just letting you know that. The GPS Global Positioning Satellite System cost $12 billion to get up and running up there, flying around, and only about $2 million a day to operate. So way cheaper than NASA. However, It does allow you to get to the grocery store. Even though you've been there 10 times, why is your GPS still on, telling you how to get to the place why is it literally making your brain go in reverse to full retarded? Why is that? Because that's what's happened. I don't blame senility. I blame GPS, man. I just didn't know how to get around. This is insane. Why are they doing the Copernicus project? Here's another one. This one's nuts. It's an $8 billion project to use global data, I'm quoting, from the Copernicus satellite system around the world to provide, now here we go, a comprehensive continuous observation and assessment of the planet's health. I put air quotes around health because Stacker, the article, the people who wrote the article, they put quotes around health. So it reads like this. It's a continuous observation and assessment of the entire planet's health. Yeah, right, buddy. So true, dude. It's like the article is itself making fun of the Copernicus project by putting quotes around the word health. So Stacker did it. I didn't do it, but I kind of like Stacker that they did that because the Copernicus project is supposed to tell us if the world is healthy. What kind of insanity? It's only $8 billion, though, which is cool. So look, okay, there's the list. The most expensive building projects in old world history and in new. And what do you see? You see that old world history projects are always transcendence projects. It's God stuff. It's building a home for sacrifice, a place to lose yourself. Or maybe, better put, a place to find yourself. Now, you can argue, as many would, and they should, you could argue it's a waste of a lot of mystical stone-moving machines. Like, how did they move that stuff? Or if you just want to argue that it's a waste of a lot of slave labor, that's fine. But what you can't argue is that people in the old world, well, you can't argue they didn't think a lot about God. In the new world, well, the most expensive stuff we build is about stuff. It seems when you take a hard look at the New World building list, you find men and women deeply dedicated to the idea that knowing more about stuff, about the world of stuff, has some sort of payoff. Here's the deal. Stuff's out there. I don't know what it is, and we're going to watch it. That's what we're going to do. I don't know. That seems to be the mentality. You think I'm lying. And this is actually the heart of the whole podcast, which is we're just going to learn about stuff for the sake of stuff. And if you don't believe me, listen to Physics Girl.
So that's the answer to our question. Why is there so little antimatter in the universe? We don't know yet. That's why all these really, really smart people are doing crazy experiments trying to figure it out at CERN. And I'm really excited to follow along and see what they find.
Wait a minute. Corey, rewind that, please. Please? Can we just play it one more time? Just one
Why
more
is there
time.
so little antimatter in the
Play
universe?
it again. Listen to this.
We don't know yet.
They don't know yet, but they're going to find something. Do you guys understand that this nice woman who has 4 million followers went to find out what they're doing about antimatter? And the answer is they don't know the answer to the question that they're pursuing yet, but they will, because she knows one thing. They'll find something. And then something else. And then some more of something else. And then something more of that something else, but not exactly the same something else. So then they'll need to find out more about the different something else, which is very similar to the old something else, but different. And so we should keep going on and on. And that's what it is. That's what science is. In its essence, Physics Girl ain't wrong. They're going to find stuff. And now we're at the center of this podcast. If you've come with me this far, then you know that the end of this episode should tell us Guys, the road to hell is paved with good intention is an aphorism that is not axiomatic. Or if you like, it is a seemingly truthful saying that is highly untrue. See, this phrase, which at the beginning of our experiment, these episodes, it felt true. It felt almost biblical to say, hey guys, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because it's so normal for us to think this way, because it's so normal for us to believe that we can figure stuff out if we just put our mind to it. You can fix the things that you think need fixing. Be careful. Good intentions aren't enough. You got to use your brain. Now, if you're chafing against that, I'm telling you, you're chafing because you're so used to imagining yourself in this place of power. You're so used to imagining yourself as a rational soul moving through this world of matter and able to control future outcomes. You, in order to believe this, this is why you're chafing right now if you are, but in order to believe this, if you're a believer in the road to hell is paved with good intentions, you have to believe that more knowledge means fewer mistakes and a better world. I'll say it again. A person who says the road to hell is paved with good intentions and then believes it and is comfortable with it has to believe that more knowledge allows human beings to be more better at making fewer mistakes. A person who thinks that more knowledge is good for more knowledge's sake is not an old world person. It doesn't make you bad. That's not how they thought, man, and that's not how they think. You won't be good at orthodoxy. You won't be good at Hinduism. You won't be good at ancient otherisms like Buddhism, paganism, Muslimism. You won't live well in that society because you're going to get stuck in this rut called knowledge for knowledge's sake. CERN, the place that we're visiting, and we will finally go check more of it out next time when we finish this set of episodes. CERN is built on the notion that if we just learn more about X, we will get closer to knowing everything about Y. And I mean Y, the word. They think more about X, the thing, will teach them about the Y. You don't believe me? Listen to Fabio Giannotti. He is the director of CERN currently. And he says 95% of the universe, that's my Fabio voice, 95% of the universe is still unknown. We are all driven, he says, by a shared passion for knowledge. Such an interesting choice of words. Driven, passion for knowledge. And then he says, we're so staggeringly ignorant. We at CERN want to change that. It is a grandiose undertaking, I know, but it sheds light on the esoteric world of particle physics, but also, and more importantly, it sheds light on purpose and progress. See, you don't believe me, but these people think that the how things work will explain to them why things are. They're deeply interested in ontology, what it is to be, but they keep using how to get to why. That's not gonna work. Knowledge for knowledge's sake, they say. Listen to this quote from the mission statement of CERN. Knowledge for knowledge's sake is the most valuable commodity humans possess. Well, excuse me? Wait a minute, hold on. Knowledge for knowledge's sake is the most valuable commodity we humans possess. What? Has anyone ever read the story of Adam and Eve? Just take a stab at it. Go ahead, take a bite. Try to figure it out. I'm curious. This is insanity. Oh, no, it's not. Because if you look on your iPhone, there's an apple with, a bite out of it. The entirety of what's happening at these places is an attempt to not only recreate the actions of Adam and Eve, but it's to recreate them as the good. I'm not making this up. Knowledge for knowledge's sake, they say, is the most important commodity that we possess. Next week, we look at CERN and other companies like Apple. We look at the movements and we look at how it might be this. The road to hell is paved with no intentions. On heavy things lightly. Check us out, guys. www.first-things.org. When you do, consider being a field worker. It's high on our list of needs and wants. Join us for Art of Automata. It's happening. Become a monthly donor and then join us for a once-a-month call that I missed once a month. Okay, that's not true totally. Guys, First Things Foundation loves you. Keep supporting us. Thanks for being on this podcast. See you very soon with the fourth and final CERN Road to Hell. Take us out, Greg Gilbertson. By the way, we're doing a very cool super fundraiser there, November 30th, December 1-2. That's in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Check it out. And thanks to all the Art Automata people, both in Washington and in Florida. We love you. Knock vom dies. Au revoir. See you next time.